Um, what's your name?
My name is Harold Storey.
Um,
I live in Rome, Georgia, in the College Heights neighborhood,
where were you born?
in Chattooga County, uh, near Crystal Springs, but just beyond the Chattooga County line from here.
Um, what year were you born?
1922.
Um,
That means I'm 90 years old plus a little bit. September.
were you ever in the military?
Right. I went to the University of Georgia. It was in ROTC there, and when I graduated, uh, went straight to in January 1943 to Officer Candidate School at Fort Benning, and from there, 3 months later, I was sent to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, with the newly formed 106th Division, Infantry Division, actually.
What branch did you serve in?
No, the Army. The Army Infantry.
What infantry were you in?
I'm sorry?
What infantry were you in?
I was in the 10th Infantry, which, well, later on I was, but I was in the 106th Infantry Division there at Fort Jackson, and it was our job as young officers to train the men and do all sorts of things, hiking and firing and compass things where you find your way through the woods and swamps and so on. So it was a good training for the young men, and most of them had been assigned, had just been drafted because the age of the draft was lowered to 18. And so I had a lot of 18, 19-year-old young people who were just about 2 years younger than me. And but it was really good training for them and for me to be able to do all the things we did, and not only learn to shoot people, but mainly learn how to survive and learn from me and other officers learn how to help my guys survive. They were the newly recruits when we got to combat, and that was it was a good thing to have tough training, because we learned how to do a lot of things and learn how to trust each other and protect each other and that kind of thing.
Did you have any close calls?
I'm sorry?
Did you have any close calls?
Oh, yeah, a lot of them. And of course, they were from snipers, because a lot of times when they could hear us or hear me talking to somebody, they would discover that I was an officer in combat. And that was when I was in the 5th Infantry Division, because I had been sent overseas as a replacement officer to Normandy. So there were a lot of close calls, and then finally, near the end of the Battle of the Bulge, and I was hit one day with shrapnel, and spent about the next 4 months in the hospital, mostly in England.
Where did you serve?
In combat, and from Utah Beach through France and to the German border, and then to Luxembourg when when the breakthrough occurred.
Did you have any friends in the military?
Oh yeah, a lot of them, and of course yeah, and we had after the war, for the many years since the war until now, we've had a lot of reunions of people that knew each other and like to talk about the things that we did, and it was always interesting for a short 2 or 3 days to talk about. Some people have called the bonds of war. You know, what makes us like to get together, and that was because we were that was because we had learned to trust each other, and we were able to know what it was like to trust you for my safety and me for your safety. It was an exchange kind of thing.
When did you join?
Well, I went in the actual as a lieutenant in January of 1943. That was after ROTC, and the and officer candidate school. I became a second lieutenant in April of 1943, and that's when I was sent to Fort Jackson.
What rank did you start at?
I started I was just an officer candidate after ROTC. Of course, I had in school at ROTC had certain command responsibilities to learn, and I was a student captain there. But in officer candidate school, you're not anything but an officer candidate. But then when I graduated there, when I went to Fort Jackson, I was a second lieutenant. And later, after Tennessee maneuvers and that sort of thing, and being sent to Camp Adderley in Franklin, Indiana, I was still a first lieutenant, was promoted just before I went overseas. I mean, two first lieutenant. And then by the time I was promoted again before I got out to captain, the rank of captain, which meant a company commander. That's 4 platoons and some attachments and that sort of thing.
Can you tell me a few of your victories?
If what?
A few of your victories, like in battle.
Did we ever retreat? Have retreat? Is that what you said? Well, we at times when we finished or nearly finished a battle, we had to pull back and go in a different direction depending on what the success was out of it. But very little time did we ever, because we were on high speed most of the time across France. But in battle, we never really retreated from an area. We simply had to change direction sometime.
How many battles were you in?
Officially 5. That's the Battle of Northern France is one, which means Normandy area and so on. And then the Battle of the Ardennes, which is Ardennes breakthrough by the Germans, and 3 others. I've forgotten the official name of those, but the little stars you have on the ribbons on the uniform represents a number of battles, and that was there were 5 of those. Besides in the United States.
What was your rank when you left the Army?
When I left the Army?
What was your rank when you left the Army?
Captain.
Could you show me a hat or a uniform or?
I will. I'll show you a couple of my uniform pieces that I have, and I'll explain them to you. If you do you want me to stop and get them now, or just when you finish?
If it's okay, you could do it right now. If it's
okay. Why don't you stop it right now and let me go in here now.
This is awesome. What's the A on the sleeve?
That's the 3rd Army. That's General Patton's Army. This was what's called with infantry crossed rifles here and so forth. It's called the Eisenhower jacket. And that's the one we wore mostly, particularly after the end of the war. And these are the sewn-on medals. This is the combat infantry badge, and this is the battles that I told you about, 5 battles, and good conduct medal, and Purple Heart and Silver Star. These are the ribbons representing those things. And at the time we had on the other shoulder, during that time when we were not still in the infantry division, there was what we called a shoulder patch over here, which was SHAEF, we called it, Supreme Headquarters Allied Expedition Air Force. And this is the jacket that one of the things I had on when I was hit was shrapnel. And this is where the piece of shrapnel went in my throat, and then this represents the 5th Infantry Division, called the Red Diamond outfit. And anyway, we stood me in little ragged places where some of the shrapnel didn't hit my body, but part of them did go through that way. And I have a steel